Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Victoria. It's wonderful to have you here with us today. And while we're still on screen and not in person, it looks as if we're getting ever nearer to that point where we're all going to be together again. And that's going to be really a great celebration when that happens. So on this very special day, this very special Sunday when we are together, I would like to invite Reverend Rachel to do our opening treatment. Rachel?
Thank you, Carrie.
Oh, how pretty.
So, this is this beautiful opening treatment that from all the spring flowers just reminds me that Spirit offers you a bouquet of all your favorite flowers, and you are this beautiful bouquet. A Spirit places them in your heart, and you can imagine the sweetest sweet peas, the most fragrant lily of the valley, and the most divine lilacs. And they're all for you with no allergies because they're made of spirit. So please accept this bouquet of flowers into your heart that Spirit gives you every day, saying, thank you. Thank you for being you. This bouquet of flowers in your heart is just a mere fraction of the thanks that Spirit gives you just for being here and simply being you. And so it is.
And so it is. What a beautiful gift. Thank you so much, Reverend Rachel. And now, with another gift, I invite Darlene Haynes to gift us with song this morning.
Thank you, Reverend Carrie. This song is written by Karen Drucker and David Ault and is called I Stand Before You. And it is a chant, so I will play it a few times so you can pick up on the words. I stand before you, knowing we are one. You are the mirror of my soul. I stand before you, honoring a part of you that is whole. I stand before you, knowing we are one. You are the mirror of my soul. I stand before you, honoring a part of you that is whole. I stand before you, knowing we are one. You are the mirror of my soul. I stand before you, honoring the part of you that is whole. The part of you that is whole.
Oh, thank you, Darlene. I haven't heard that one before. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh, so today, my talk is about being authentically free. And I don't know how much you've given thought to whether or not you feel as if you're an authentic person or not, or what that actually means. But for me, in past years, whenever I think about that, I think that being authentically free or being authentic is about showing up just exactly as who you are. It doesn't matter whether you're dining with, with a friend, with someone that you've just met for the first time, with a prince, a king, a queen, a celebrity of some kind. That if you're just exactly who you always are, the same with everyone. That's the way that I always looked at it. The last few weeks, I've been listening to some of Wayne Dyer's old lectures, And he has a totally different spin on things. Well, fairly different. He says that being authentic is really about showing up, expressing all of the qualities of God, because we are all born with all of those qualities within, because we're all just sparks of God stuff. So, so rather than showing up in personality, in ego, he said we show up as God, and we show up with love and with forgiveness and with joy and with gratitude with everyone that we meet. And we stay aligned with the divine in that way when we're with everyone. And so that means that, we're not just jumping into judgment or feeling offended or whatever by what's going on around us. And when you think about that, think about when you're around someone who, and I'm talking about when you haven't been in your God self. Probably most of you are, but from time to time I really slip out of it. But when you're around somebody who is angry and judgmental and critical of everything, or someone who is just sitting around in victimhood, just saying, oh, if only I'd had a different lot in life, things would be different. And how that brings your own energy down when you're in that company with someone. And so also, when we do that, we have to think about how we might be making others feel if we're in a state where we're feeling less than perfect God selves on any given day. Because we're giving off a vibe, we're giving off an energy, because we are energy. And so Dr. Dyer says, and we all know this, we have to change our thinking, change our thoughts when we're in those circumstances. And instead of allowing ourselves to drift downward, instead to move ourselves upward to a higher place, to choose thoughts of happiness, to choose to be happy no matter what's going on around us. Now, I know it's easy to say and it's not so easy to do, but certainly if we're around other people, we can practice being out of judgment and being out of critical thinking, when if we're being upset by them in some way. And so it's as if we're on a learning path. Our whole lives we're on a learning path. I think everybody knows that. We'll say, well, I learned a lesson from that one, or what was the lesson from that one. And it really demands of us that we forgive others no matter what happens. And I know I say that a lot. But the thing is, we all know that if we're not forgiving someone else, we're walking around for days, weeks, months, maybe even years with that resentment inside us. And it doesn't feel good whenever we think of that other person. And so it's about choosing how we feel. And Dr. Dyer points out, as Dr. Holmes does, the founder of our teaching, um, as most metaphysical people will say, is that we always have a choice. We have a choice about how we're going to respond to things. And so it takes practice. If we're sitting around somebody who's really upsetting us in some way, we're allowing ourselves to become upset instead of just going with, well, that's the way that they think, and I happen to think in a different way, and I don't need to carry this with me. It's a burden I don't need on my shoulders. It's something that I don't need to carry around in my heart or in my mind at all. We also have to get control of our mental voices. You know, whose voices are in your head? Apart from now, our own voices are in our heads too. We can be critical of ourselves a lot. We can feel guilty. We can be ashamed. We can have all of those thoughts going through our own minds, as well as having thoughts about others that are, that are unpleasant. But what can we learn from these situations, and how can we advance? How can we get to a higher place in our own lives where we're not looking at ourselves in such a critical way, where we gain control of these things? If you think about it, all of this stuff that we take on ourselves, it's like a tea kettle that's on the stove and that is boiling, and it's boiling and boiling and boiling until the whistle blows on it, and it just, takes off. that kind of thing happens with people that we know. It happens with us sometimes, where the stress gets to such a point that we just lose it. And when we lose it, we don't feel very good about ourselves afterward. And so it's one of the things that we need to take charge of in our lives. And we can do it, except that we don't often believe that we can. When we feel that feeling rising up, there's a point of, remember, people used to say, well, just take a deep breath, take a deep breath. There's great wisdom in taking a deep breath, because it does make a difference to us. It gives us that instant to think, do I really want to go there? Do I really want to do this? Do I want to choose a different thought? Do I want to choose a different way of being, of doing things? So right now, I just invite you to take a deep breath, and repeat these words after me. May I know myself better and give myself more wholly to this day. May I know my true self, that I truly am with every thought, breath, and action, sharing it with my world. Again, may I know myself better and give myself more wholly to this day. May I know the true self, that I truly am with every thought, breath, and action, sharing it with my world, because we are. Whatever it is that we're thinking, whatever it is that we're breathing, we're putting into action, and we're sending out that vibration to everyone around us. And Wayne Dyer, in this lecture that I was listening to, um, he suggested to us that when we are in our authentic selves, our God selves, that's where we are in service. We're in service to God. We're in service to others. We are happy to volunteer for whatever is going on around us. It's our deepest desire to make others happy as well as ourselves happy, because in doing so for others, we are doing so for ourselves. And he he really talks about the kind of pressure that we have on ourselves when we're not in authenticity, when we're in our ego selves. And when we are that way, he said, we're in a gimme, gimme, gimme frame of mind. It's always, I want more, I need more. And he said, if our primary purpose in life is to get wealthy, to be really, really rich, he said, we're never going to be satisfied. We can never have enough. As much money as we have, we will always be looking to have more. Or as much of anything that we want, we will always be looking for more of it. And he said, that's where the ego really fails us. Because he said, when we demand of the universe, then the universe demands back of us. But when we serve the universe, then it serves us. It only knows to give us all that is good. We scarcely need to think about it. When we are in that state of grace, in that state of just knowing that we are God in expression, each one of us individualized expressions of God, that in that place, the universe only knows to say yes to us, only to give to us. We don't have to think about what it is. We will always, always have enough. We may not have millions of dollars. We may not have the big house or the fancy car or whatever it is that we've thought that we might have, but we will always have enough. And when we can be content with that, absolutely content with that, then it's amazing what other things start to come toward us and what happened to us. It's really important that we work on this, that we just give it a try, because it makes such a difference when we are giving of ourselves. The gifts come back to us, and it doesn't matter what the gift happens to be, whether it's spending time with somebody who needs company, somebody perhaps who's an invalid, someone who's elderly that we haven't seen for a long time, going shopping for somebody who needs a hand. Certainly during these COVID times, there are things that we can find where we can serve others. And there always are. We can volunteer for our center. We can volunteer for other things that move us. when we're doing those kinds of things, we tend to think, well, I'm serving my church or I'm serving that organization. And the fact is, what you're really doing, what we are really doing is we're serving God. We're not serving that particular organization. This is our service to the divine. This is our service to God. This is the way that we express all of the goodness that we were born with, all of the goodness that is God. And so it's not about stuff, you know. It's about being in that state of contentment, in that state of grace, being grateful today, right in this moment, for everything that we have in our lives, and not blaming others for what we don't have. Just being grateful for this life, being grateful that we have the blessings that we have, being grateful that we live where we live. We have so many wonderful, I mean, looking at those lovely flowers this morning that Rachel showed, how beautiful, you know, knowing that those kinds of flowers grow in our gardens. How glorious that is. We have so many things to be thankful for. You know, it's really important for us to take responsibility for ourselves and to stop blaming anyone else for something that may not be going in our lives the way that we want it to go. We have to stop that. You know, the way that we perceive ourselves basically is sometimes the way that others seem to perceive us. If others tell us that we're not very good people, we might take that on ourselves and say, oh, I'm not really a very good person. You know, I got a lot of problems in my life. There are things that I could do that would make me better, but boy, it's so hard, you know, whatever. We might take on that perception of ourselves, but we don't have to do that. The thing is, we need to really understand and recognize all the time who we really are. And we hear this over and over again. We are each individual expressions of God. We are spirit having a human experience. We are always spirit having a human experience. But we do have this ego mind that can express in ways that seem to be ungodlike. And so it's really important for us to cherish ourselves. You know, if you have trouble doing that, what I suggest you do is imagine yourself as a little tiny newborn baby, holding that baby in your arm, cradling that little baby, and just imagining how much you love that little baby. You know, lift that baby up and feel that soft, warm head and your neck. You know, listen to that baby cooing to you, making all of those baby sounds that you love so much. Imagine yourself as that, and then hold yourself close and love that little baby. Because as we love our inner children, as we love that baby self, it makes it easier for us to cherish who we are, and easier for us to look at our own innocence, that we came from innocence, and we may have taken on things that are unpleasant, but that innocence is still there. And we can get back to it when we practice, when we do some sort of, um, uh, you know, some sort of exercise like that. I used to, I think I've shared this before, when I lived in West Vancouver, I used to imagine that I was carrying my little baby self in a snuggly. And I used to walk the seawall every morning, back and forth, and always feel like I had that little baby in a snuggly and was just cradling it and loving it. Helped me get through a lot of negative stuff in my own life. And you can find an exercise for yourself that works. It doesn't have to be that one. But it's really important to cherish yourself so that no one else can make you feel less than. No one can make you feel less than the God self that you are. Spirit, God, creator, whatever it is that you want to call that. It doesn't matter what. That's who we are. That's we were born with that. We have these physical containers while we're here on this planet, and then we give them up when we leave. But we go on. And so what is it that we want to take with us when we go? What is it? How do we want to look at ourselves? We can always make choices to align ourselves with the divine, always, and never mind what others say. as Emerson actually didn't say this. It was a much longer quote, but it has been paraphrased into who you are speaks so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. Who you are speaks so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. And isn't that the truth when you meet somebody? You don't even have to hear what the words are. You look at someone and you know who they are. And you feel that within. And others are feeling that with you. Excuse me a second. Just going to have to take a drink of water. So it's important that you remember that you're a limitless being. You're a no limit person. You never, ever have to suffer from lack in your life. Not ever. Not with right thinking. And we tend to think in our lives that successful people are people who have a lot of things. They have the big house, the fancy car, they have the private jet, maybe. They have lots of money. They're powerful, or we consider them to be powerful. The thing is, you are powerful. You are a powerful being. Forget all that stuff. The power is within. And we really need to remember that. Success is having our needs met. It isn't about having big fancy stuff. There's nothing wrong with wanting that in our lives. There's nothing wrong with having it. But it's where our minds are. Because when we just let go, when we let go of all the negative stuff, then only the good things can flow through. And we see our own lives getting better and better. And we see what we might call miraculous things happening for us, things that we never ever thought that we would experience. But it's about being in that place of contentment, being in that place of grace. And Wayne Dyer tells a story of, not a true story, but using as an example. He said, imagine that you go to visit a friend one evening. You've been invited over for dinner, and you have dinner, and it's very late. And your friend says, you've had a couple of glasses of wine, and it's late, and maybe you shouldn't go home tonight. Why don't you stay here? I have a cot that you can sleep on. And then he says, imagine that you say, oh, I can't sleep on a cot. I have a bad back. You must know that. You've known me for years. I couldn't sleep like that. It would be much too painful. And anyway, you ordered dinner in tonight. Would you have any breakfast? I have to have my breakfast at 8 o'clock in the morning. And Wayne Dyer says, and then imagine that your host says, well, I've got a couple of grapefruit in the fridge and the crisper. They've been there for quite a while. They've got a few kind of brown spots on the skin, but I'm sure they're still okay. And you say, I could never eat anything but fresh grapefruit. Don't offer me grapefruit with spots on it, for goodness sake. I can't do that. And he said, imagine how that feels for you, but imagine how that feels for your host as well. And it's not even about offending the host. It's about, what are you doing to yourself? What are you feeling for yourself? What is the message that you're putting out there? And he said, instead, when your friend says, I've got a cot, you could stay here, you say, oh, that's wonderful. I love sleeping on a cot. It's just like camping out. Thank you. I'd love to stay here tonight. And, and then we'll have breakfast in the morning. And he says, well, I've only got these 2 grapefruit. There's some, oh, I love grapefruit. Doesn't matter how old they are. I don't care if there are a couple of spots on them. That's on the skin. It's the inside that's really important. And he said, think about the difference in how you express what you're feeling and how you express what you're doing. And he said, you can let others hurt you, or you can choose not to. You can hurt yourself, or you can choose not to. He said, what is inside you is what comes out. So imagine that you have this wonderful, big, juicy orange. We'll make it an orange rather than a grapefruit. And you cut the orange in half and you squeeze the juice out of it. And what comes out of that? Orange juice comes out of it. Not mango juice, not pineapple juice, not apple juice. It's orange juice. It's orange juice because that is what is inside the orange. It's so perfect. That's the way that perfection is. So then imagine if you are pressured or squeezed by something that is going on in your life that somebody does something that hurts you or upsets you or gets you angry or, or whatever, and that starts squeezing at you, what's going to come out? You know, are we going to be able to change our thinking and to say, there's a lesson in this somewhere. I'm not going to blame that person for what's going on. I'm not going to blame that circumstance for what's going on. I am sending out all of my God stuff because this is who I really am. I am this expression of spirit, and that's what I'm going to send out to the world. That's what I'm sending out to everyone. Or am I just going to let the lid blow off the kettle and let it rip? Am I going to find that there's inauthentic juice inside me, and that inauthentic juice is ego, and that ego is the anger. Excuse me. That ego is the anger, and the displeasure, the nasty negative things that can come out of us. Who are we? Who are you? What's going to happen when you get squeezed? How are you going to deal with it? That's something that in our authenticity, in our expressing ourselves as the divine within, that's going to show us and show the world who we truly are, rather than this persona that we're making up as we go along that can be very unpleasant. Who we are inside, the personality we display, can be ever changing according to our thoughts. What's in there is what comes out every time. What is in there is what comes out. And so it's kind of important to be conscious of what's in here, what's inside each one of us. And, it doesn't matter if someone disagrees with you. It shouldn't. I mean, we all have our own thoughts. We all have, and we can get really upset if somebody says something that we think is absolutely stupid. But the thing is, that person believes whatever it is they're saying. If it's a little child, we probably want to educate that person. If it's an adult, we probably want to educate that person. But the thing is, does it really matter? Do we have to interrupt a conversation to correct somebody? Do we have to make somebody else upset because we don't agree with them? That's the expression, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? We can just let it slide right off and choose happiness and choose grace and choose contentment and choose gratitude, just knowing who we are. It's important that we become conscious of who we are ourselves, that we are genuine with ourselves. I have from time to time shared my favorite tenet from ministry class when we were given the 10 tenets of ministry. And my favorite one has always been, I always tell myself the truth, and I frequently ask myself what it is I'm pretending not to know. That's where we get to our genuine selves. And I still have miles to go. But I love that. And I think about it a lot. And I do ask myself that question a lot. And it helps me. It really helps me a lot. So we need to understand that, there's your truth, there's my truth, there's the truth. We're not always right. So let's choose to be happy. Let's choose not to leave any negative things, negative thoughts out there, any negative reactions out there with others that are going to hurt them, but also they're going to hurt us because it'll be starting to boil up inside of us as time goes by. It happens that way. We're no limit people, so let us celebrate life's lessons, all of them. No one can hurt us without our consent. Truly, truly, no one can. There are choices from the way we think. And how often have we said that over and over and over again, and we have those words hanging in our center every Sunday when we're together in person. Change your thinking, change your life. So easy to say, not necessarily so easy to do, but by golly, we can practice that. We get the chance to probably practice this every day, many, many times every day. And so there shouldn't be something that is stopping us, that's getting in the way. We need to grow our confidence. Do it one step at a time. You don't have to just get rid of everything all at once, although that would be nice. Just pour that steaming water out of the kettle and it's gone. Maybe we can. But if we can't, let's just take things one at a time and work on forgiveness and work on love and work on caring for our fellow humans, knowing that people are doing the best that they know how to do at the time. And that as we become our best selves and give that out to the world, that we're creating a better world around us all the time. How are you thinking today? Right now, how are you thinking? What is it that you're wishing for later today or tomorrow? How do you want to feel? What does that look like? What does it feel like inside? I just keep saying, clear the junk out. I'm saying this to myself, clear it out. When there's this kind of thing in my head, I look at it and say, well, that's the way I used to think. But today I have a new way of thinking. I don't do that anymore. Can we do that? That's the way I used to think. I don't do that anymore. With our minds, we're perpetually giving birth. Birth can be messy, but it's beautiful. So what is it that you want to birth through you today, tomorrow, always? It's a matter of letting go of our history and getting into the mystery, that beautiful mystery of life. Give ourselves, excuse me, and live our truly authentic selves, the God selves that we were born to be. And then we will be authentically free. And so it is. And this is the time that, as I always say, we typically pass the basket when we're at the center. And so today, if you would care to make a donation to our center, I invite you to e-transfer to donate at cslvictoria.org. And if you're asked for a password, then the password is abundance. If you wish to donate through PayPal, you can do that as well by going online to our site, cslvictoria.org, and there's a button there that takes you through to PayPal. And if you want to send a check, that would go to our treasurer, Lillian Slanina. And if you need her address, just pop me an email and I will send it to you. And I just thank you so much for being here today. I thank you for all of the things that you do and give, and for the beautiful beings that you are, for that positive energy that you do give out to the world that does make such a difference. And now I would like to invite Reverend Jennifer Tennant to do our closing benediction today. Jennifer?
Thank you, Reverend Carrie. As I was listening to Carrie, I have my bookshelf right next to me. And I had this prayer flutter off the top shelf. And I'd like to share it with you. It's called a forgiveness prayer. I feel your ever-present support, indwelling spirit, as I join in consciousness with others. Connecting deeply within, I feel our hearts united. God, we are one. In this space, I now allow all past hurts, resentment, and anger to gently and completely be released into spirit. I let go of anything that causes me to sense separation from God or blocks me from seeing my divinity. I treat myself and others with compassion, knowing that when I forgive, I am more capable of loving and accepting. From this peaceful place, divine love fills my heart, and I open to forgiveness. I abide in the temple of my heart, I know the presence of holiness there. This is where I belong. I am at peace. So it is. Amen.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. That was beautiful. Who wrote that prayer?
It's anonymous.
Oh, oh,
So Spirit, of course.
some of the most beautiful things in life are anonymous, aren't they? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reverend Jennifer. That was really, really beautiful. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here today. It's been wonderful to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.